Bread does not have to be the enemy of stable blood sugar. That's the most important message that needs to be heard loud and clear. The truth about bread and diabetes needs to be shouted from the rooftops. Not all bread is your enemy. For those living with diabetes, especially seniors who've been navigating this path for years, the idea that bread must be entirely eliminated can feel like a cruel sentence. But that belief is misleading. After carefully analyzing 20 of the most common types of bread through real-life blood glucose monitoring after consumption, it becomes absolutely clear which breads trigger unhealthy spikes and which ones are relatively blood sugar friendly. The key lies not in complete avoidance, but in making smarter, informed choices. Many healthcare professionals often echo the idea that bread must be cut out completely to manage blood sugar. But such generalizations fail to consider the nuances of how bread composition affects blood glucose. What's often missed in that advice is a critical understanding of ingredients, carb content, fiber levels, and the glycemic impact of different types of grains. Seniors especially need guidance rooted in experience and sensitivity, not blanket statements. The right bread can exist in a diabetic lifestyle if chosen wisely. 3 guiding principles make all the difference. First, opt for bread that is low in carbohydrates, because carbohydrates have the most direct and immediate effect on blood glucose levels. Second, seek out bread high in dietary fiber. Fiber doesn't just aid digestion, it slows the absorption of carbohydrates, leading to steadier post-meal blood sugar levels. A good rule of thumb is to aim for a carbohydrate-to-fiber ratio of 5 or lower. Anything over that becomes risky. Third, avoid added sugars at all costs. Sugar causes sharp and dangerous spikes, especially in older adults whose insulin sensitivity is often reduced. White bread, for example, is one of the worst offenders. With around 49 grams of carbohydrates and just 2 grams of fiber per 100 grams, its carb-to-fiber ratio is a shocking 21. Add to that 5 grams of sugar, and it's a blood sugar disaster waiting to happen. Brown bread doesn't always fare better. If its color is due to molasses rather than whole grains, it might carry the illusion of health while still harboring high sugar and low fiber content. Always read the label. A brown crust doesn't equal health. Whole wheat bread may seem like a safer option. It uses whole grains that retain fiber and nutrients. However, manufacturers often add sugar to improve taste. For instance, a whole wheat bread with 44 grams of carbs, 6 grams of fiber, and 5 grams of sugar has a carb-to-fiber ratio of about 7, which still can cause significant blood sugar increases. Multigrain breads also mislead consumers. The term sounds healthy, but without knowing whether the grains are whole or processed, it becomes marketing rather than nutrition. Some multigrain options may still have high glycemic responses due to over-processing. Whole grain bread, made from intact grains such as oats, barley, or brown rice, generally stands out as a strong option. One example from Switzerland showed 40 grams of carbohydrates, 10 grams of fiber, and only 1.5 grams of sugar. With a carb-to-fiber ratio of 4, this type of bread leads to slower digestion and much gentler blood sugar responses, making it a sound choice for older adults managing diabetes. Then there's a whole category of bread that should be avoided altogether: baguettes, brioche, croissants, ciabatta, focaccia, and cornbread. These breads are nutritionally poor, usually fiberless, and packed with sugar. Their glycemic impact is swift and severe, and they provide little to no benefit in return. In short, they're not food, they're refined sugar bombs. Sourdough bread presents an interesting case. Thanks to its fermentation process, which produces acetic acid, it can sometimes have a gentler effect on blood sugar. Acetic acid, also found in vinegar, is known to reduce glycemic spikes after meals. But not all sourdough is created equal. Some versions contain 51 grams of carbohydrates and just 2 grams of fiber per 100 grams, resulting in a carb-to-fiber ratio of 23. Despite the benefits of fermentation, such a high carb load with minimal fiber renders it a poor choice. When choosing sourdough, find one with more fiber and less sugar to truly benefit from its slow glycemic action. Pumpernickel bread is a standout. Made primarily from rye flour and sourdough, it naturally contains acetic acid and is high in fiber. One example provided 47 grams of carbohydrates, 7 grams of fiber, and only 0.5 grams of sugar per 100 grams. Although the carb-to-fiber ratio is around 7, the low sugar content and fermentation benefits often lead to excellent blood sugar control. Seniors may find its strong flavor unfamiliar at first, but its health benefits are undeniable. Among the best options is Ezekiel bread. Made from sprouted whole grains and legumes like lentils and soybeans, it contains no refined flour or sugar. With a carb content of 44 grams, fiber at 8 grams, and 0 added sugar, its carb-to-fiber ratio is a stellar 4.5. Sprouted grains improve digestibility and have a lower glycemic impact. Ezekiel bread may take some adjustment in taste, being denser and less sweet, but it delivers remarkable stability in blood glucose levels and is rich in nutrients. One thing to note, it spoils quickly. Keep it refrigerated or frozen for best shelf life. One golden rule emerges from all this. Always check the back label. Packaging and brand names are often designed to mislead, using words like whole, natural, or grain, while hiding high sugar content and stripped fiber. 2 loaves of bread with identical branding can differ drastically in their effect on blood sugar. Seniors navigating the grocery aisles need this kind of vigilance. In a world where marketing often triumphs over honest nutrition, older adults managing diabetes must become experts in reading labels, recognizing high fiber content, low sugar presence, and ideal carb-to-fiber ratios. With so many options available, the right bread can be part of a healthy, satisfying diet. Bread doesn't have to be the villain. Only uninformed choices make it so. With the right guidance and attention, bread can still be on the plate without fear.